on top of the funding crisis. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Georgia.
Madam Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume, and I'd like to ask my good friend Mr. Polis if he'd be kind enough to lend me his chart for a moment. Mr. Polis? Mr. Polis? Would you be kind enough to lend me your chart for a moment? I so appreciated that. Could I borrow your chart up here for just a moment? Would you allow me to use that?
If you could bring the chart over.
And I want to say that, and I thank my friend for sharing with me. That's the kind of thing that goes on. I mean, folks often see the frustration on the House floor. You often see the tempers at their height. Thank you very much, sir. But the kind of thing that goes on behind the scenes that you don't usually see is exactly the kind of thing I grew up with on TV, and I thank the gentleman for bringing this chart this morning. Our colleague, Mr. Hastings, actually sang this song for us yesterday, and it was a wonderful treat in the Rules Committee. I think we would all agree. But as you know, when you listen to this song, Madam Speaker, once the bill passes the House, it goes to the Senate, and the Senate acts. The Senate acts. There's all these pleas for negotiation. There's the suggestion that as if we're not doing enough on the House side. Longest debate this House has had, most amendments, more amendments, in fact, on H.R. 1, the bill that's contained in this underlying resolution, than we had on all appropriation bills combined over the past 4 years. This is the proud work product of the House, H.R. 1. Here's the work product of the Senate, Madam Speaker. It's right here. As my colleague asks, pleads, in fact, that we negotiate with the Senate, here's what the Senate has offered. How do you negotiate with that, Madam Speaker? How do you negotiate with that? This is what we learned about. This is what our students are studying across the nation. This is what the Senate has given us to work with. Now you tell me as a freshman, what is it that I'm supposed to do? What is it that I'm supposed to do when the Senate fails to act? And what we have done is to say, if the Senate fails to act, you can't pass anything, I don't know why. So just go ahead and fund the government, prevent the government shutdown, fund the government at H.R. 1 levels, and let's continue that negotiation. I look forward to the day when we don't have a blank sheet here.
Will the gentleman yield for a moment?
I'd be happy to yield to my friend.
Yes, you're correct that the House has passed a continuing resolution. However, that specific resolution has actually failed in the United States Senate. It's actually a rejection. On top of that, the third body, the executive, has threatened a veto of that. What this calls for is some sort of deal that everybody can do to ensure the government continues to offer.
I thank my friend, because he's absolutely right, and that's critically important. There are those who would have you believe that the House is insisting that it's its way or no way at all. But that's not the case at all. We just did our job here, and we're waiting for the counteroffer. How do you negotiate with this? You can't, Madam Speaker, and with that I reserve the balance of my time.